So, without further ado, Frank Giampaolo.
Thank you. Wow, that was... Hey, so gang, let's, if you don't mind, I'm probably not going to use the mic. I'll just walk around and yell. But say hi to our U30 coaches, though, Nathan and Sarah. They're going to be helping us out. Any other under 30 coaches? Oh, wow. Super. Why, well, yeah, me too. I was one. That's a pretty big number, though, for you guys. Way to go for U30s. It's interesting, though, with under 30 coaches, if you think about just confidence. We're going to talk about confidence a lot. We're going to talk about how to prepare for pressure, how to get your athletes to actually play at their peak performance level under pressure. And so obviously confidence is big. But if you look at the under 30 coaches here, they have the perfect amount of confidence. If you think about even our athletes, our juniors, even the adults, sometimes they're underconfident in matches. And with juniors, I know for me, I teach mostly nationally ranked juniors or college players. The kids that don't perform at peak performance level, they're almost always overconfident in their preparation. So they say things like, I'm good, I don't need to do my off-court training. No, I don't need any more sets, I'm good. And they're overconfident. Then they get into the match, they're underconfident. So we're going to talk about a little bit how confidence works, how there's actually a happy medium between some of our athletes that are overconfident, underconfident. I had a kid just last week in California. I start all of my sessions with customized evaluation books, kind of like this, where the kids self-grade, like from 1 to 10, in their stroke mechanics and athleticism. And if you think about it, that's like the hardware of tennis. I want you to try to imagine all your tennis players and look at them the same way you look at your computer. There's hardware and software. So hardware in tennis, strokes and athleticism. Software is the mental, emotional sides. So last week I had this kid, Joey, on a scale of 1 to 10, he's circling 10 on everything. Everything in the athleticism component chapter, 10, 10, 10, 10. Then I watch him go to the water fountain to get a drink. He comes back soaking wet because he can't even make his lips touch the water. So, I mean, this guy was just not even in reality when it came to his confidence. He was so overly confident. He thinks he's 10 at everything, but he's not. So when you guys talk to your athletes, it's important, I think, to read between the lines. All right, so let's go through this little book. I've been working with some of the top college teams the last couple of years, and we kind of put this together. Neuro priming for peak performance. It's just a snazzy way to say mental rehearsals. And we're going to be banging through this. So I'm going to teach you guys today, along with Nathan and Sarah, we're going to kind of teach you how to go about putting these scripts together, and then how to teach your groups. So first question, how many of you guys teach juniors in groups? How about adults? Is there a lot of adult tennis here, right, Alta? Yeah, way more than in my neck of the woods. So you can use this for both teams, adult leagues, juniors. Later on, we're going to kind of talk about another book you're going to get, the Match Chart Collection. And we're going to be talking about 10 unique ways you guys can chart. And the interesting thing with the Match Chart Collection later, we'll go through this. With each chart, if you can have your athletes, have 2 of them sit and chart while 2 or 4 play, it's incredibly meaningful. Athletes really learn 10 times more when they're doing the charting compared to hitting. So we'll talk about that book a little bit next. I'm going to give you the quick skinny on this neuro priming, and then Sarah and Nathan, they're going to help us go through it. These books were delivered here last week. They're looking for them still. But we have one for everybody. So you guys are all going to go home with this. Also, though, later you're going to get the ebook version. So you can write all over yours when you want, when you get it. And you'll get the ebook version that you guys can use with your students. Is that fair? Yep. All right. So let's go right to the intro. This is Sarah.
Hello.
She likes long walks on the beach and romantic Thai food, she told me. Sarah's going to read the first little paragraph in the introduction. All right.
In the medical field, heart surgeons report that if they practiced the way they did just 5 years ago, they would have been sued for malpractice. Yet in the business of coaching tennis, teaching professionals all too often teach the same fundamental systems they were taught decades ago. Dedicating most tennis training to grooving forehands and backhands and neglecting training was between the ears. Success in the competitive game of tennis is dependent on emotional and mental warfare.
Okay, so I'm just going to interject a little bit in between as these guys kind of bang through the little intro. I've never heard a junior athlete, or even an adult, come off the court and say, man, if I would have had my follow through an inch higher, I would have won. They never blame it on hardware. They almost always blame their losses on software, mental and emotional. The other person cheated, we can't stand playing pushers, that type of thing. So we're going to talk a little bit more in our sessions today about the software side. And then I think you guys have some double specialist girl coming later. I don't remember her name. Yeah, but you'll do a ton of hardware with Gigi on court, okay? So we're gonna hang in there. We're not gonna talk that much about stroke production and athleticism. We're gonna talk a little bit more about mental and emotional. Okay? All right, Nathan's in.
I found that only training an athlete's hardware, stroke fundamentals and athleticism, and ignoring their software, mental and emotional, often results in match day disappointment due to underdeveloped competitive skills.
All right, Sarah, you're back. All right? Is that right? All right, go.
Researchers estimated that even with the best teachers, students typically walk away from the training sessions retaining approximately 20% of the coach's advice. So to help reinforce lesson instruction, I recommend applying customized neuro priming.
Okay, so that's an interesting number that even if you're the best coach ever, your students are going to walk away in 24 hours and retain about 20% of what you said. That's why when we do this today, I'm not going to do a fancy PowerPoint that you forget in 12 hours. I'm going to give you the book. So you take home the book. I think that's a little bit more meaningful. All right, Sarah, you're back in there?
Okay.
Neuropriming involves mental imagery to review and rehearse solutions for competitive performance. This visualization process is an essential off-court form of training personalized to each athlete with advanced solutions designed for specific match play situations. Neuroscientists report that athletes who apply personalized mental rehearsals drastically improve performance during match play. I consider neuropriming not only fundamental for competitive athletes, but often the missing link for athletes unable to compete under stress at their full potential.
Competitive successes or failures aren't the result of a singular performance, but the result of the athlete's physical, mental, and emotional routines and rituals.
Okay, so let's just review that quote for a second. I think it's pretty meaningful that their success on the court, it's not a result of that one performance. It's the result of routines and rituals, right, beforehand. And that's our job, to teach proper preparation. We're going to dig into preparation a ton. How many of your athletes, let's say they play a match, whether it's a league match or tournament match, how many of your athletes really take time to warm up their strokes before they play? How many take time to warm up their mental and emotional solutions? It's critical, man. Mental emotional is critical. And so mental might be things like the X's and O's of strategies and tactics. What's my top 7 patterns of play? What's my contingency plans? How do I beat pusher retrievers? How do I beat hard-hitting baseliners? How do I perform opponent profiling? These are all mental skills. The emotional skills are based on performance anxieties. How do you handle choking, panicking? How do you raise your adrenaline at crunch time? Look, man, if we're not teaching that stuff, your kids are going to go on the court, and they might even have the best-looking strokes in the tournament, but they come home losing second round. And then the kid with the cut-off jeans wins the tournament. So I think it's big that we really take a little bit of time today. We're going to dig into this stuff. All right, Sarah, are you up next?
Yes.
All right, we're winding down.
This guidebook provides a fresh, unique pathway to improving tennis skills with a customized script and the athlete's very own voice via a series of audio recordings on their phone. Neural priming is not meant to replace an athlete's on-court tennis training. It is an essential enhancement of their mental, emotional, and physical skills. Just as priming muscles before competition increases athleticism, neuropriming increases cognitive processing speed.
So in every sport, if you start digging into it, and we're so lucky now, we have this thing like Google on our phone. You can dig into this stuff, and it's awesome. But if you dig into all the top Olympic athletes, NBA, of all the different sports, they're all doing mental imagery. Even if your kids are playing in a match between points, instead of them saying things like, "Dear God, if I get this serve in, I'll go to church every Sunday for 6 months." Okay, that's not great inner dialogue. We want them to be plugging in the correct inner coaching, right? The correct dialogue. So we're going to talk about how we're going to have your athletes write out their scripts. We're going to do it today. Then later you're going to have them record them onto their cell phones. Okay, we're going to have 5 different scripts. We'll talk about it, 5. One is stroke mechanics. One is the emotional game. Mental singles, mental doubles. And the last one is huge. It's life skills and character traits. And it sounds silly at first, but if you can teach life skills, they'll be solving their own problems. If you don't, they don't even show up to practice on time. They forget their shoes. They're out there on their cell phone instead of actually practicing. So life skills is going to be probably, in my opinion, the most important chapter. I want to review just with Sarah. She said something really important, that having your athletes listen to their solutions, it's going to enhance your on-court training. It's not there to replace it. So we're not saying they don't have to hit. We're saying that they should do more than just hit. Does that make sense, right, everybody? All right, Nathan. What are some of the benefits, man?
That's a great question.
I know.
I got it right here.
All right, come on.
The benefits of neuropriming for peak performance includes increased confidence, enhanced match awareness, quickened cognitive processing speed.
Just do about 5 of them.
Improved
They can look
the
at it later.
mind-body neuroconnection, greater technical awareness, stress management, opponent awareness, improved emotional responses, advanced resiliency.
So there's about 15, 20 just listed benefits of doing this little program. We can talk later about the different colleges we've done it with, but interesting for me, even like with the stroke mechanical chapter we're going to do first, the Kansas State Shockers, they said after doing neuropriming, we make way less errors, but even when we do make the error, we fix it instantly because we have the solution in our head. And so we're going to be showing you how to provide those solutions. Sarah, you got to read this next part. It's a little bit techie. But I heard you're the techie coach, so.
The sports science of neuropriming. Neuroscientists report that mental rehearsal activates a network of neural-coded motor programs in the brain that, when primed, activate the athlete's correct physiological responses. By creating customized audio recordings and then routinely listening to the recording, the athlete strengthens the neural pathways required for competition.
All right. We can dig into why it works, but I have a feeling you guys are okay with this idea that it's kind of like preventative medicine. If your athletes are listening to their solutions at night as they're falling asleep, when their subconscious mind is more awake, we'll have them listen to the tapes too in the mornings, especially the mornings of matches. It's just a big confidence builder that they know exactly what they should be doing. So let me do a quick review, and then we're going to go into the first one. Is everybody okay so far? Yep. All right, so this is a whole new skill set. It's different than standing by the basket and feeding balls. You're going to be doing classroom sessions with your groups, okay? So now they're going to be actually helping you as they help themselves. So let's go through the couple stages here. And again, you're going to have this book hopefully in about an hour. So there's 5 chapters, and there's different skill sets. We're going to bang through all of them. You're going to have your athletes read their own script into their cell phones. And then later you're going to give them homework to listen to it at night. Or maybe if it's adult tennis, listen to it as they're driving to and from tennis. So now they're getting into the right headspace. You guys okay with that? You ready to go to the first one? All right. Okay, who's up next? Nathan, is that you? Yeah, go to 19. Yeah, audio. So we're going to do the very first audio tape. This is going to be a tape you're going to have them record onto the digital cell phones, right? Okay, so it's called Protocols for Stroke Production. Page 19? Yeah. All right.
For each primary.
Protocols for stroke production. For each primary and secondary stroke situation, write a short solution-based catchphrase as a customized reminder. Athletes report that by mentally rehearsing their customized stroke solutions, they not only fix their technical strokes quicker, they significantly reduced producing the actual errors.
Very good. Is everybody here, have you heard this term primary and secondary strokes? Okay, cool. So I've been using this now for probably 10 years. Here's the painter's analogy. If you're an intermediate average painter, go to any paint store, they'll give you a primary strip of colors. So you're going to get a black, brown, blue, green, just basic colors. And if you're painting with basic colors for 30, 40 years, your paintings are still going to look average. Now, if you paint with primary and secondary colors, like you don't have one green, you have like 6, 8, 12 versions of green. Now your paintings are lifelike, and you can make money on your paintings. So in tennis, I want you to think about each stroke, like forehands, backhand serves. You don't just have primary strokes, you have primary and secondary. So from today on, this is going to help you a ton too with the financial side of being a coach. You don't just teach a forehand, you teach 6 forehands. You have a primary and secondary forehands. Let's go into it some. The first forehand is your forehand drive. In this kind of booklet right here, we want the athletes to kind of customize their own 2 or 3 word catchphrase. So to help with inner dialogue, to help clean up a good drive forehand, what would you guys say to yourself? What would be a 2 or 3 word catchphrase? Come on. Make it an information exchange where we're all helping each other. And
Finish the swing.
Say it again?
Finish the swing.
All right, so finish the swing. Great 3 words. Give me one more.
Get under the ball.
Good, get under it. Good. I'll give you some examples of a Harvard player. Keep my head down. That was his. And it's customized. Every student's a little bit different, right? So you're not going to have a one-size-fits-all approach. Let's go through some of these secondary forehands. How about your short angles? In California, we call them the side doors. It goes over the sideline. What would be a couple like catchphrases to hit a good short angle?
Outside of the ball.
Say it again?
Outside of the ball.
Yeah, hit the outside of the ball. Good one. That's the same thing that the Harvard kid said. What else? Any other ones?
Haircut.
Haircut?
Yeah, because
Okay.
they're standing on the side next to the fence. The angle's so sharp that they have to run their head along the fence.
Okay, very good. How about that high and heavy arc? We want our athletes to be able to load and give it like the Rafa 8 feet over the net, take it up out of their opponent's strike zone. Any quick catchphrases for that? What do you think? How do you guys hit your high and heavies? What's your inner dialogue? I know you guys know it. Come on, and back.
Lift the ball.
Say it again.
Lift the ball.
Okay, lift it. So you gotta get under it, lift it more. Good?
Rush up quick.
Okay, good. Accelerate more. Increase your upward angle, all right? How about slice forehands? You're out running wide. Nowadays they do open stance, continental, a defensive shot. Now think about this. If you don't have your preset protocol, if you don't have your inner dialogue locked in, are you going to make it more or miss it more? Probably miss. If you know exactly what you're doing, because you're listening to yourself on your audio tapes, you're in good shape. How about drop shots? Anybody have a cool little catchphrase for their drop shots?
Open the racket.
Okay, open the racket. So would you open it at contact or after?
Kind of front contact and then after, right?
Right? Because remember, with the tennis ball, it's only on the racket for about 2 milliseconds, 2 1,000ths of 1 second, it's gone. If you really, really get your racket rolling over the ball, you hit yourself in the foot with your ball. You really can't get the racket over the ball. Once you touch it, the ball's gone. And when you watch really high-speed film of pros, when they hit the ball's about 2 feet off the racket, and then you see them roll after. But we still hear a lot of beginning coaches roll over the ball for topspin. And that just gives you low to low. And so that's probably not a great tip if you're still using that old one. How about lobbing? What's your tip for hitting a good, soft defensive lob on your forehand? So we want our athletes, whether it's adults or juniors, we want them to have their own script, their own solutions. Get it? We want solution-based inner dialogue instead of problem-based. What do most people say under stress? Don't miss, instead of brush up, right? All right, can we go on to the backhand a little bit? The backhand drive. Anybody want to give us a example of? Come on. I know it's early.
Push to water.
Okay.
Wade in the water.
Okay. So that with one-handers or two? Yeah.
Set your footwork.
Okay, yeah, set your footwork is good. And you're going to probably help each student customize their solutions, right? They might not have the most meaningful solution for them. Sometimes that's interesting for me when we do things like patterns. They don't, sometimes juniors, adults too though, they don't talk about the most proficient pattern. They just talk about their favorite shots. I want to do my favorite pattern. And I go, yeah, like the serve that went in down the tee in 2009 in a hurricane. No, it's just serve to the backhand kind of thing, right? But sometimes they want to always list their favorite, not the smartest shot. All right, let's keep going. A few more with the backhands. Short angles. Nathan's got to give him a short angle. Buzz cut. A lot of coaches have good catchphrases, huh? Sarah, do you have one for high and heavy backhands? When you teach athletes to load up and throw up a high or heavy neutral ball?
Kind of just said, I was going to really load your legs.
Oh, all right, use your load. Yeah, loading. That's good. How about slice backhands? Are we setting good inner dialogue for that? So what we're doing is we're trying to teach our athletes to teach themselves. So when they're in competition and when you're not around, they can quickly plug in the solutions, right? How about drop shots on the backhand? Backhand drops.
Loosen the grip a little bit.
Oh, yeah, say it again?
Loosen the grip some, I think.
Okay, good. The grip pressure. Soften up the grip pressure.
Arch it in.
Say it again?
Arch it in.
Okay, so give you a little more trajectory, right? Those are good, yeah. And I think that's important. And for us, when we do this normally, you guys, honestly, you already have your books right now. And you would be going through them yourself. You'd be writing your own solutions. So we're kind of free wheeling it a little bit. But so everybody understand, though, we're teaching positive inner dialogue? Okay. Drop shots, and then we have lobs, right? Backhand lobs. So all these players, whether it's California USC players or Midwestern players or Boston, they're writing down all their little scripts, and then they're going to be listening to it. That really helps their quick decision making and their perception of themselves. Because really, it's weird, but perception, it kind of affects performance. If they think they can do it, if they think they have the solution, they're ready for pressure. They're more confident. If they have just a bunch of question marks by all these, like, yeah, I don't know how to do that, they're not going to be confident. Does that make sense? All right, let's go on. Yeah, let's just do a couple more things here. I'll just bang through this primary, secondary. Yeah.
So that script that you tell yourself, you're doing it regardless of the error that's created. So whether the ball goes long or wide or in the net, your script you're telling yourself is always the same.
I don't think it always has to be the same. I think what we're trying to teach the athletes is be proactive, be solution-oriented, not problem-oriented. Like, so if the point's over, instead of saying, the problem is I suck, and instead of that, they're putting in solutions. But I think you can customize. They can customize solutions.
So if the ball goes like topspin forehand long, but your forehand goes long, their script could be like, get under the ball from topspin or something like that. If the ball goes in the net,
Yes.
you have more lift.
Yeah, that's great.
You have two different scripts depending, or do you recommend just one script?
I think it's important at first one script, just so they don't get too, depending on the level of your athlete though, and then later at the higher levels, different solutions to different problems. So whether it's margins and things like that, I think that's fine too. That's a good question that you be creative. And I want you guys to be creative. Take this stuff that I've been kind of working on a little bit and just add to it. Make it your own. You know what I mean? All right, so serves, we know there's flat serves, kick serves, slice serves. Remember, it's our job that we want to give the same beautiful information to every level. Beginners deserve the same rationale as advanced people. It's okay to teach them how to go about doing these things like neuro priming. And it's all about who can play well under pressure. And you guys have seen it a million times. You watch like 3-0 level matches. It is competitive. It's some serious pressure in 3-0s. I remember back in the 90s, I worked a ton with Vic Braden. I opened schools for him for about 15 years. We're at the 90 and over division in Palm Springs. And a guy that was, I think, 7-8 years older than the opponent, the younger opponent runs down a lob. The older guy goes, oh, if I was 91 again, I would have got it. It is competitive all the way up. So this isn't just for the high-level people, but everybody deals with pressure. Volleys. There's different types of volleys, right? It's our job to teach it. Don't just teach your fundamental punch volleys. Teach transition volleys, swing volleys. Like they call them drive volleys in other countries, right? Drop volleys, half volleys. So we need all the scripts. So let me ask you guys if this makes sense to you. We're going to talk about your athletes and they're in a tiebreaker, okay? All right, so in the first set tiebreaker, the athlete didn't warm up any secondary strokes. They just did the old-fashioned, go out, hit a couple mini tennis, go back, rally back and forth right to each other. One person goes to the net, give them some volleys, hit right to them. They put their finger up, and you lob short right to them. Now let me ask you, when you're lobbing short right to somebody all the time, what are you motor programming? Short, lousy lobs. Now you get into the match, guess what you hit? Short, lousy lobs. Because that's what we practice, right? So it's important, I think, that even before matches, if your athletes are serious about winning that match, warm up primary and secondary strokes. So here's an example. Let's say your athletes are out there, tight match. Like these players are good players. Like let's level out here if you see them. Let's say in the tiebreaker, they nail a ball in the corner. The opponent throws up a moon ball. They move in to take a swing volley. Now, if they haven't even warmed it up or hit it in a while, in their mind, they're going to be thinking, man, I don't even remember the last time I hit one of these. And then shank, lose the breaker. Or the opponent rushes the net on a short ball. We throw up a lob. We lob short right to them. They put it away. We lose the breaker. But if you warm up your secondary strokes, it's big. I was doing a seminar in Mexico City. It was like Tiger Woods' first tournament back. So on TV, they're filming his warm-up. And to me, that was interesting. I go, oh, I want to watch this. So Tiger hits 50 putts, different lengths. He hits 30 of every club in the bag. Because he goes, I'm not too familiar with the course. I better warm up every club. Now, doesn't that make sense in tennis? Warm up every tool. If you're really into it. You might not have time every day, but I think that's important. All right, last couple of things. And you'll see when you get your book, there's different kinds of lobs. There's topspin lobs. There's moving forward slice lobs. There's even something that we call a relob, when the opponent hits an overhead smash and you have to block it back like a volley. That's a different swing pattern, right? And we have to warm up. We have to train all these strokes. So if you're out there teaching, if you're a fundamental tennis coach and you're teaching strokes, now instead of having forehand, backhand, serve, volley, cross court down the line, now you have short angles, high and heavies, hard slice, drop shots, swing volleys, drop volleys. You have a lot more to teach, right? All right. Let's move on a little bit. Let's go to the next chapter of this little book that you're going to be having your players all kind of read through and write the script. And who's up here? Sarah, are you up for this one? Yes. All right, this is the emotional protocols. It's a whole different chapter.
Design and list customized solutions for each of the emotional protocols. Athletes who mentally rehearse their preset contingency plans, emotional protocols, report cleaner performances and less match time drama consistently.
You think less match time drama would be important for some players? Yeah, right? Everybody wants to freak out less, right? We all want to play like in the zone, in the flow state. And remember that even with like the mechanical side, if your athletes are thinking about mechanics, if they're thinking about bend your knees, close the racket, lift 30 degrees, they're never going to play in flow state. You don't want them thinking about mechanics in matches. We want them to be just using imagery. Imagine the patterns they're going to be running. That's probably more important. Okay, so let's go through some of these. Between point rituals is one. What are some of the external and internal routines that you guys are teaching your students to do in their 25 seconds? Okay, external. Give me a couple of tips that you guys might write down in your little neuro priming book. What do you guys do in between points external? Wait, I heard something. Come on. Okay, good. So you relax your hitting hand, put the racket in non-dominant hand. That's a great one. Okay, good. And by breathing, what do you mean? Give me even more detail. In and out. I hope that's. All right, so breathe in through your nose, right? Try to lower your heart rate a little bit. That's really big. If you think about, if you read the benefits of proper breathing in sports, oh my God, it's insane. What was the other one?
Look at your strings.
Oh, yeah, okay, look at your strings, relaxing your eyes a little bit, right? Now, how about the internal? What are you doing inside your brain, inside your mind's eye? What are we teaching our athletes to do internally?
Think about how they want to set up the next point.
Oh, very good. So plan the next points pattern. That could be like the global strategy. Well, good. Do you guys know what I mean by global strategy? If you guys are really into a lot of the techie kind of stuff, I don't want to sound like a commercial, but this book has just tons of that stuff in it. If you want something fresh, if you feel like you're getting a little bit stagnant in your teaching, and I know that I do a lot, and that might be a go-to right there. Let me talk about strategy. We're talking about planning the next points pattern. Try to make sure that your athletes all know who they are and what they do best. That's important. I call it their global strategy. And we're going to be talking about it a little bit in the strategy side, but it's things like their top 7 patterns of play. What do they do best? This is what you want your athletes to do on any given day when they start a match. So whether it's first round or the finals, start the match with your global strategies. Do what you do best. Whether it's clay, grass, or hard, do what you do best. Start the match doing what you do best. Get it? Whether in Miami or Moscow, do what you do best. I'll give you an example of, in my opinion, coaching failure. I won't mention a name, but it's USPTA high performance. So 3 of my players in California got to go play junior Wimbledon, but they had to go with the USPTA high performance coaches. The coach says, you're on grass. You have to serve and volley and chip and charge every point. To the group of 12-year-old girls that never served and volleyed in their life, guess who lost first round? All of them. All 3 lost first round. Serve and volley. But in my opinion, that's probably not the best idea, even though the surface is a little bit different. You have to do what you do best. Now, we all want to have contingency plans, though. So you have to have B and C game plans. Like, for example, I'm going to go into the match doing what I do best. If I'm losing with my global strategy, I'm going to go to stylistic strategy, which is, okay, how do I beat this pusher retriever? Okay, now I'm playing a hard-hitting baseliner. How do I beat that player? You get it? So it's different systems and different strategies. So I like that when you guys said plan the next points pattern. How about getting over the last point? Pretty big, right? I want to give you an example of, it's just kind of like saying something good. I had 2 players about a year ago now, and Warren and Shane, but Warren has won 3 national titles. Shane is just as good, but never won a national. So here's a great example of teaching between point rituals, in my opinion. So Shane hits a big kick serve out wide. He's about 14, but he serves about 120. So big kick serve out wide. Warren lunges out for a slice backhand. Shane runs in and just nails that sucker right into the alley. He throws his racket down. He goes, see, that's why I suck. I can't volley. I have the worst volley. And I walk over to talk to him, and he goes, put up the hand, talk to the hand. And he kicks the racket, and he plays bad for about 3 games. Now, 2 or 3 games later, the other dude, in California, we say dude, y'all. We don't say y'all. We say dude. So the other dude, Warren, hits the same kick out wide. The other dude hits the same slice. Warren comes in, nails that volley in the same doubles alley. But he walks away smiling. And he took the racket out of his non-dominant hand, by the way. He's smiling. So I walk out, I go, I got to hear this. So I go, Warren, why are you smiling? He goes, well, didn't you see it? Shane has no high backhand. Now, whenever I need a point on the ad side, I'm going to kick high to his backhand. It's very different dialogue than the other guy. And that's why that kid won 3 nationals and Shane didn't. So we want to teach that kind of optimistic dialogue. Let me give you one more example of between-point rituals. It's not in this, but it's something that I learned from an 11-year-old girl in Mississippi. So she's ranked, I think she was like top 10 in the nation in the 10s. And she lives right down by Gulfport. There's a rocket launch area. And we're talking about between-point rituals. And she goes, oh, no, Frank, I got it. I know what to do. I do the rocket launch sequence. I go, okay, so I put down my racket, and I go sit down, I go, all right, let me hear it. She goes, well, in between points, especially big points, now this girl was about 11 years old. Between big points, I look at my mental, physical, and emotional batteries. She goes, if my physical batteries are drained, I don't play, I walk away. I go, okay, cool. She goes, my mental batteries, if I don't know what I'm going to do next with my strategies and tactics, I walk away. And on the emotional side, it's like fight or flight. She goes, if my adrenaline is not pumping up, if I'm not ready to kick butt, I walk away. She's 11. That's the best between-point rituals I ever heard. So before any big mega point, she checks her physical, mental, emotional batteries. And one thing I recommend with you guys too, even when you're doing drills, whether it's privates or groups, allow your students to walk away, control the situation, collect themselves if they're playing bad. So if they're missing some shots, don't make them stay there and keep on playing frustrated. Teach them how to walk away, go gather themselves, and come back and play when they're ready to play. Because that's the skill they're going to need to do in a match. If they keep on playing when they're pissed off and upset, they're just going to keep on making errors. So we want to teach them how to control the environment. Get it? All right, let's go through a couple more on this emotional chapter. Changeover rituals. When they get to sit down for 90 seconds. What are you teaching them? What's their external and internal routines? It's really big. So give me a couple externals. I know you guys know some. Come on. They just sat down. What do they do? Get some water. Yeah. Towel off. Beautiful. What does Rafa do with his... That's weird, right? But how about internal? What kind of self-coaching? What are you teaching them? Internal. I think it's big. Do it for yourself. Go back to when you guys used to play. Then most of us, we all go, oh, well, no wonder why I wasn't on the tour. Because we didn't do emotional back in our day. Nobody trained this stuff back in our day. Internally, here's what I recommend. Have your athletes sit down and think 2 games back, 2 games forward. 2 games back might be, did I hold serve, why or why not? Yeah, I just kept on hitting big kicks to the backhand. They gave me short balls. That worked. Do you need to change it? No. If it works, keep on going. You don't need to change a thing. Now, the second game was, did I break? No, I hit 2 returns in the net. Okay, so I lost that game. What do I need to do? Take 2 big steps back and maybe go a little more high and heavy. Now you towel off, you get a drink. Before you run back out to the court, teach them to review. How do I hold? How do I break? You get it? 2 games back, 2 games forward. Now I want to show you something in these little books. The first half of the book is all the blank scripts for you guys to use. The back half of the book are all the answers. All the answers written from a Harvard player. So it's his point of view. His answers would be for external changeovers, sit down in the shade, get a drink, go towel off, eat if needed. So if you're not really sure, don't worry. The answers are in the back. Get it? All right. Just make sure we're covering all the... All right, we're going to go through a couple more of these. And I think because Gigi is running a little bit late getting here, is it okay we might go a little bit longer on this? We'll bang through it. And all right. Critical times to manage adrenaline. What does that mean, managing adrenaline? Yeah, whether it's if you have too much adrenaline, too much hormone flowing through, you got to calm yourself down, and sometimes you have to pump yourself up. You ever notice towards the end of games and at the end of sets, what are the top pros like Rafa and Serena? What do they do to raise their energy? Come on, right? They're pumping up their adrenaline. They're not waiting for adrenaline to maybe find them. They're actually calling up the adrenaline. So what we have the athletes do, critical times to manage adrenaline, might be towards the end of every game, towards the end of every set. We want our athletes to be pumping up. Some are more introvert, shy. They may be doing it more internally. And some are way more extrovert, right? You guys ever notice with extroverts, you can hear extroverts 5 courts over. You go, there's some extroverts down there. That's it's funny, though, when it comes to confidence, confidence doesn't really have a lot to do with personality profiling. So it's not that shy people are not confident and external loud people are confident. You could have that quiet confidence too, right? Like a Pete Sampras used to be a little bit more of an introvert. All right, so this is that emotional chapter, right? We're going to do a couple more, then we're going to be taking a little bit of a quick little break after this little chapter. But choking and panicking. We want our athletes to be able to understand it, figure it out when they're choking. We want them to be able to understand it when they're panicking. Because if they don't understand it, they're not going to find the solution. So choking and panicking. What is choking to you guys? Let me hear some opinions about, and we've all had it, we've all done it, right? Remember like when your brother or sister would yell, "You're choking," and you're like, "Yeah, I know." Great.
Thinking while playing.
Okay, so thinking about what?
Your shot or not playing the point, you're just like, oh, here comes the ball, don't miss it, don't miss it. You're thinking while you're playing versus just reacting and hitting the ball.
Okay, good. So thinking too much when you're playing, right? Overthinking that. Sometimes overthinking could be future thoughts or past thoughts, right? And athletes need to know this. What are some past thoughts? Let's go even one step deeper. Overthinking in the past.
Focusing on errors.
Yeah. The overhead you missed last game. Yeah. It could be a creative line caller, and maybe they cheated on a point, and you're still mad. I'm going to kill that sucker. How about future thoughts? Where could your brain go in the future?
What are you having for dinner?
Yeah. I do that all the time. Any other Italians? But when I'm eating dinner, I'm already thinking about breakfast while I'm chewing. I don't get that. But all right, let's go on a little bit. I did have an athlete that I got to share a funny story. So he's 6'3", he's up like 5'2", loses the match, and I go, "Where were you? What happened? You were like on fire." I don't want to talk about it. Driving from San Diego all the way back up to Laguna Beach where I live. Right when we get close to Laguna, he just says, "I was thinking about where the trophy was going in my room." And I go, "What?" He goes, "Didn't you see the trophy?" He goes, "I was already moving the books." In his head, he was at 5'2". He's moving books in his room. So when you talk about, I have a book from this summer called The Soft Science. We really get into this stuff, but different brain types, personalities. There's judgers and perceivers. Perceivers are people that their brain is found in the future. And it's really important, if you know how your athletes are wired, you can find all these common struggles. Let me go through just for a sec. And you guys can even test it out, have some fun with it. I'm going to go through a Myers-Briggs with you just for a sec, and you tell me what you think. Do you think you personally, are you more introverted or extroverted? Introverts need to kind of have some quiet time to recharge their batteries. And extroverts get more energy by being around people. They love being around people. They can go to a party, come home, go to another party, come home, call people from the party. They don't need to shut down. Who's more introverted, though? Introverted coach. All right, so if you're an introverted coach, you have to actually nurture your extrovert personality, right? You got to extrovert your Pied Piper kind of mentality. Who's already extrovert? That's pretty good number. Well, about 80% of tennis pros are introverted. I'll go through another one. Try to remember, if you're more introverted, you're I or E, extrovert's E. So next category, are you more sensate or intuitives? Sensates are people that want all the facts before they make a decision. Introverts go by their gut instincts. So if you have a 16-year-old kid that's going to buy a car, what would sensates do? I want to Google it. I want to see the cylinder, gas miles, what kind of stereo, how many speakers. What do these intuitive people do? Man, I just want that in silver. They don't even know where the gas goes. They say, "Oh, that's cool. I'll take it." Who's more sensate as a teacher? Right, intuitive teachers. All right, so when you're coaching,
Can you be both?
well, you can be about 49%. You usually have a dominant side, but you can nurture the other side too, which is probably the best way to go about it. If you're teaching somebody and you know they're a sensate, how does that affect your teaching? If they want all the facts. You can't just say, do it because I said so. You can't say, you can't do it or you're going to run 10 laps. That's the best way to lose a sensei. They're out of the game by 12 o'clock. They're done. Intuitive people go by their gut instincts. They're great to coach when you coach doubles and poaching. If you have a gut instinct, intuitive people, because they want to do it first, think about it later. So they'll poach their guts off. They'll poach out to go get an iced tea in the middle of a match because they felt like it. So they're out there. Okay, feelers and thinkers is another category. Feelers are people that really want harmony in the room. Feelers have a lot of trouble with cheaters and gamesmanship because they want that harmony. Thinkers are okay. They'll just put their racket down, go get the ref, and they don't get emotional about it. But look, if you know how your students are wired, you can actually really solve a lot of problems really quickly, even maybe before they even know it. And then the last category we talked about, judges, perceivers. Perceivers, their brains are found in the future. So perceivers are the athletes that almost always will get a lead. Then they start thinking about outcome thoughts. They tend to blow a lead. So if I'm teaching a perceiver, I would make them do negative scoring, which means you got to do this drill. You got to get to 10. You got to do the drill right every time. If you do make a mistake, no problem. We don't go all the way down to 0. We just deduct 1 from your score. And you'll see perceivers will get to 8, then they'll lose focus, and they'll go back down 7, 6, 5. So with all your drills, if you guys want to teach the emotional muscle, add negative scoring to all your drills. It's as basic as okay, you guys are going to serve to the backhand. Divide the service box, have them get 10 serves into the backhand. Every mistake, -1. And you'll see people getting really mad because they're not used to being accountable in practice, especially adults. The last time I was in Atlanta, I remember it was the other club up the road. And the men were playing. Okay, these dudes hit 50 balls out into the back fence. The one guy hit 1 burner down the line. And then in the bar later, he's talking about the 1 shot he made in. That's not accountable, and you don't even remember the 50 you hit into the back fence. All right, so choking. How about panicking? What do your athletes look like when they're out there in panic mode? Can you guys share?
Crying.
Yeah, crying. Beautiful. Agitated, angry. They have that deer in the headlights look. They don't care about between point rituals. They just want to get out of here as fast as possible, right? So we need to help teach them the solutions. So for example, What are your verbal and physical triggers? Again, remember, the answers are all in here, so don't worry if you don't know every single one right now, but verbally would be calm down, relax, stay on script, breathe slow. We're trying to teach our athletes how to teach themselves under stress. Physical triggers. Take more time, go to the towel, retie your ponytail if you're a gal or a guy with long hair. How about even take a bathroom break? Do your athletes take bathroom breaks? Is it legal here in Atlanta? Is it legal on the Pro Tour? Do all the pros do it? You bet. If you watch on TV, they go to commercial. You don't know what they're doing, but they do. The top people even do it. So my opinion, if it's legal, use it. All right, last couple things. This talks a little bit about the energy flow and controlling playing speeds, things like that. I don't think we have no luck yet with getting those books here, huh, you guys back there? Yeah? All right. Yeah, come on. Go for it.
You said perceivers tend to get a quick lead and then blow it. So what do the judges do, the other side of the equation? Are they...
Judges are usually way more anally detailed to the present. Laws and rules really apply. And they're the kind of people that like to make lists and be very orderly and detailed right now. So if you ever go on vacation with a judger, you'll know, because they'll say, we're all going to get up at 7:15, 7:30 in the lobby, we're going to hike at 7:45. And you're like, what the? Yeah.
What happens to them under stress and pressure and things like that?
I think sometimes with judges, they overthink. They get a little bit too detailed. To me, a lot of the judges get way too detailed in the mechanics. They think the whole world of tennis revolves around bend your knees, close your racket 30 degrees, lift. And so they're so hardwired to be anally perfect about that stuff. You'll see, too, perfectionism is something that they suffer from often. Do you guys have any athletes that you feel they have that perfectionism trait? Yeah? Do you guys? Anybody here have it? Yeah? In playing or in everything in life?
Playing.
In playing? Let's go through a couple. This is in this last chapter, the chew, this emotional side, but... Yep. And so, yeah, it's all in the book here. And again, remember, everybody's going to get this, and you're going to get e-copies for your students. Get it? So I really want to get you guys totally set to be able to help them with their mental rehearsals. So letting go of perfectionism. Try to teach them that they need to shoot for excellence, not perfection. Is anybody familiar with my friend Craig O'Shaughnessy? He does all the stats now, right, for the Pro Tour. So some of his stats, I think it was 2017 in the summer. If you look at the top 10 players in the world, the Rafas and Federers, they win about 53% of all the points they play. 53%. And we have students that if they don't win 100%, they're mad. That's just try to be excellent, right? Try not to worry about controlling the environment. You watch guys like the top pros, they understand the environment, but they don't try to control it. They don't get upset about it, right? They let that stuff go. I'll try to win 66% of the points. That might be something meaningful to share with your perfectionist type of students. 2 out of 3 points. And for who? For pros?
Yeah, for pros.
I don't know that exact number, but I would. But later I can give you Craig's info. I'll give you his home number. But I don't have that. But I can share with you something interesting though. Right out of college, I was a pro at Vic Braden Tennis College. We did tons of studies at Vic Braden Tennis College. Is anybody here old enough to remember that name?
I love Vic Braden.
Yeah? Wow, the young guys?
I have quick fixes for everything.
Oh, yeah, quick fix. Okay, cool. So anyway, here's a study back in the 80s. In singles, the average point lasted 2.9 hits. In doubles, 3.8. Same numbers as now with Pro Tours. So interesting for me anyway. How to let go of perfectionism. Last couple things for this. I'll relax and give 80% versus 110%. So try not to tell your athletes, you got to be incredible today. You got to give 100% in everything. You got to win at all costs. If you do that, you're ruining their cognitive processing speed. They're tight. Their muscles get all contracted. There's neuroadrenaline that's flowing through their arteries. So now their arteries are tight. Blood doesn't flow. They get no oxygen to the legs, to the lungs, to the brain. So you're sabotaging your kid from peak performance. Or parents, if they're saying you got to be 100% today. You know, we just spent $2,000 to get here. Don't blow it.
No pressure.
No pressure. You hear that a lot with parents. Yeah.
Don't you think that I've taught tennis a long time, and I feel like tennis attracts perfectionists. So.
Okay, we'll say it one more time then.
Don't you think tennis attracts perfectionistic type people because of the affluence of a lot of tennis, and those people are successful? I mean, I don't know.
It could be. What do you guys think? Does it attract people that seek perfectionism? Is tennis like a kind of a magnet for that?
Because it's an individual sport, so you get to control it. That's why a lot of tennis players did not play team sports. I mean, I'm talking about
Yeah. Well, I can see that for sure. So we're talking about this idea that it's an individual sport. There is a lot more pressure in individual sports, right? You guys know, remember like even with Little League or soccer, if a kid's not paying attention, they just pull them out of the game for a few minutes. And you can't do that in tennis, right? You're in for the long haul. Okay, so last thing, then we're going to take a 5-minute break to get some coffee and go to the restroom, and we'll kick in another chapter. But last thing is, I don't want you guys, if you are writing things down, this could be meaningful, but great results stem from consistent, correct decision making. Great results stem from consistent, correct decision making, and great decisions are thought through, organized, and pre-planned. Great decisions are thought through, organized, and pre-planned. That's why if you have your athletes listening to their audio tapes before they play, they're not just going to have stroke mechanical solutions, but they're going to have all their mental and emotional solutions. So they're going to perform in a better, confident state. Got it? All right. Anybody else have anything quick to talk about, or let's take 5 and we'll come back and sit down in 5. Is that good? So during the break we were just talking a little bit about this personality profiling and in the Myers-Briggs. And let me give you a quick example of why it's so powerful. I was coaching a girl named Molly back in Southern Cal, and she was ranked not super high, about 180. And her parents came to me, and Molly says, it's kind of boring. I don't really like tennis. I'm probably going to quit. And so we talked about, well, why? And so she had a coach named Yuri. I won't get into Yuri too much, but Yuri demanded that all of his students get into his world. So Yuri's idea of coaching was play the system that Yuri found successful, which was backcourt, lateral moving, retrieving, get a lot of balls back in play. He was from South America. He played college ball and some minor league pro tennis. So on the resume, it sounded pretty good. But the tough part about it was he demanded all of his students play his system. So Molly had to hit 300 balls in from behind the court before she was allowed to do something fun, which would be, for her, going to the net more, hitting big serves. So I did the personality profiling with her. This is about 15 years ago, I think now. And she was more of an extrovert. She was intuitive. She was a thinker. And she was more of a perceiver. So she liked the action. She liked the idea, the thrill about going in. She was not patient. She didn't have the judger personality to get back there and hit that many balls in. So we just go, look, Molly, let's just train you the style that fits your personality. So we got her to hit balls solid, hard into the corners. When opponents are vulnerable, she gets to go in and steal volleys. She would do moonball approach to swing volleys. Within 3 months, she went from 180 to about 50. By the time she was 14, She was ranked number 1 in the 14s and 16s in California, and she played the U.S. Open. So she went from, I'm going to quit, this game is stupid, to really thriving. When you start training people based on how they're wired, that's big. And that's in this, if anybody, I have a couple copies, but the soft science of tennis is based on that personality profiling. So I find it really interesting now. I got to work with some top players, with some of the Davis Cup guys. I taught Sam Querrey for a long time, and we did the same kind of stuff. But if you want to talk about that a little bit later, I know it's a different topic, but the idea about personality profiling, it's really meaningful. It'll help you get along with all your coworkers and your kids and your spouse.
Doesn't it also include cultural?
Is it coachable?
If you got cultural, if you got an Oriental player who's from a family that's very close-knit,
Oh, yeah.
very regimented, the way they practice is different.
Yeah.
The way they come to practice is different.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. That's why I think it's really big that we do tennis parent workshops. It's interesting to me that all around the world, they're very, very, very in tune to, you got to coach the coaches, the athletes, and the parents. If the parents don't know what they're doing, they can sabotage everything you did just driving to the match. So it's critical that you really educate parents. But here in the U.S., they don't do it. It's really interesting. Everywhere else, it's mandatory. Parents have to be educated on their job descriptions. And even as it comes to you guys building your business, if the parents feels like they're going to help build your business. If they don't feel like they're involved, if they're cut out of the equation, as soon as their kids lose, guess who's going to be the blame? You. And they're going to be shopping for a new academy. So it's really big. Educate the parents too. All right, so everybody got their books, huh? All right, go to page 66. All right, Nathan, you're going to read this top part? We're on to our third one, right? Our third audiobook? Who's reading?
I think you're up.
All right, come on. The mental, we're going to get into the mental game for singles.
Mental Protocols Singles Essentials. Design and list your customized strategic approach to the game of singles. Mentally rehearsing your solutions to the wide range of mental skills is fundamental in high-performance tennis. Athletes report that by customizing their mental solutions, they perform on script more consistently and efficiently.
Okay, cool. Let's talk about this idea about on script. I think it's mandatory that you train your athletes to know what their script is. So let's do an analogy. In LA, we have quite a few tennis players that do acting. One of the nationally ranked kids I used to teach was Kaylee Coco. Has anybody seen the Big Bang Theory? Because the blondie, she was a nationally ranked player. So on the way to the Warner Brothers lot, she would have to morph into character and memorize her script. Nowadays, she has to read about 8 lines. She has to memorize 8 lines. She gets 1.2 million an episode. That's her script, 8 lines. Your athletes, though, they have to morph into character, memorize their script. Their script is their top 7 patterns of play. And we're going to be talking about that in this strategy section. If your athletes don't know who they are or what they do, it's a little bit tougher. I want to give you an example of the first one. It says, my A game plan is my B plan. You see the example there from the Harvard kid? Can you guys give me some more examples of possible A plans or B plans?
Serve and volley.
Yeah. Serve and volley. All court net rusher. At some levels, drop shot artist might be a B plan, right? But it's really meaningful that your athletes know what they do best and what are their contingency plans. Do you think all your players know that? Their A plan and at least a B plan. Try to have them even practice days where they're not just practicing their A plans, but they're practicing B plans. So I'll give you an example of why it's important. I got into this whole tennis parent Bible thing in 2010 when I became a tennis parent. My daughter Sarah, just a little bit of bragging, sorry about that, but she won 10 national titles and played the U.S. Open at 15. So by 15, she was playing Barbara Retner, first round U.S. Open. So we were just happy just to be there and get the stupid little coach's badge, right? That was fun. Okay, so anyway, she plays Barbara Rettner. Barbara comes out, hard-hitting baseliner. Barbara Rettner is a German gal ranked about, I think, 80 in the world back then. So Barbara comes out, hard-hitting baseliner. Sarah wins 6-4. So we're thrilled. She wins a set at the Open. At the end of the first set, Barbara gets up, starts to do serve and volley, go to the net, chip and charge, capture the net. Barbara went to plan B. Get it? Sarah goes up 4-1. And now we're like, she could win a match at the Open. 4-1, Barbara gets up in front of about 2,000 people and starts hitting the ball 2 speeds, slow and slower, about as high as the lights. Sarah at 15 looks over at me and yells, "I hate pushers." And Barbara goes, guess what Barbara did the rest of the whole second set? Come on, you know. Push. Guess what Barbara did the whole third set? Push. Guess who won $15,800 that day? I should go to therapy because that was in 2002 and I still have nightmares.
That's not bragging.
No, that's not bragging. But I think the point though is that Barbara was classy. She had an A plan and didn't work. She went, no problem. I'm not going to freak out against this little toad. I'm going to plan B. No problem. I'll go to plan C. And she found the solution. So we need our athletes to do something really important. When they're playing practice matches against somebody as good or better, please ask them to play their A plan. But if they're playing against somebody a little bit worse, still have them play. Ask their parents to allow them to play little Kelly, even though Kelly's ranked 20 spots below. Have them play somebody worse, but practice the B or C plans. Because they're going to need those if they're going to win tournaments. The next thing on the list. You guys are with me so far, though? You okay? My shot tolerance level. What does that mean? Do you guys all know your shot tolerance? Do they know their shot tolerance? Yeah, I think it's meaningful, though, that we have to teach our athletes, especially the juniors, we want to teach them a high tennis IQ. So when they go to college, they're already speaking the language of college coaches. You get it? So shot tolerance is the number of balls they can get in comfortably before they start getting reckless. What's Serena Williams? What's your shot tolerance? What's your guess? You guys we're all teaching pros. What is Serena, what do you think? 3. Yeah, 3-4 ball, maybe 5 tops, right? And then she goes for something big and gets to the next point. Same with Sampras. Does that mean you have to hit 30 balls in to win? No, not if you can do patterns. If you can sequence patterns, and if you're not that patient, maybe trying to get 30 balls in is not your bag. It's not your style. And that's okay. Coaches, I think the hard part with our ego is we have to be okay to teach kids that are wired opposite of us. Primary top 7 patterns. Okay, let's get into that. I had a normal, typical academy like everybody has. The kids go out and hit warm-up mini tennis. They do a lot of cross-court grooving. They go cross-court the other way. Now, is that playing catch or keep away? Think about that. Are they playing catch back and forth, or are they practicing keep away? They're practicing catch. Competitive tennis is a game of keep away. You're not practicing in the manner they're expected to perform. Winning tennis is a game of changing angles, right? Incident reflected angles. When you watch pros, they're hitting away from people most of the time. I think it's important that we add that. It's okay to groove a little bit, and especially when we're comfortable doing that. And as coaches, it's cool that you guys are all here. That means you guys are not overly confident as a coach. If you were overly confident, you wouldn't be here. You'd be one of those coaches at home saying, I'm too good for that. I don't need that. But you guys are here. So that's a good sign in my opinion. So let's go to this primary top 7 patterns. So back 15 years ago, this is at Sherwood Country Club in Los Angeles. Crazy country club, grass courts, red clay, hard. The initiation fee was $300,000 to join that club. Initiation fee. It was insane. But so we had this group, and in that group there was Vanya King, who won Wimbledon and U.S. Open doubles, Query, Alexa Glatch, Sarah, my daughter. There's a bunch of top players in this group. So I took this group and I'm watching them play catch like everybody else in every other academy. I go, we're going to try something different, a little outside the box. So we took 6 kids. We let them just train that same way that we've always done, that everybody still pretty much does around the world. Now the other group of 6, we didn't let them rally at all. For 6 weeks, they were only allowed to work their top 7 patterns. After 6 weeks, the group that did top 7 killed the other group, and then those 6 kids went on to win 30 national titles. And Sam Query was in that group. 30 national titles with that group. So we were on to something. Since then, I think it's over 100 national titles. The kids that are training, this whole idea about play keep away, not catch. You get it? And we could talk about it. I can show you guys how to do that more on court. But let's go through some of them. Number 1, top 7. What's the most proficient pattern serving to the do side? So, Sarah, what did the Harvard kids say? What's the
Slice serve to the tee, their backhand, then inside out forehand into their backhand.
There's a stat that Craig O'Shaughnessy was showing me that about 70 to 80% of winners comes off the opponent's forehand. If you're serving to the forehand, if your people are serving second serves to the forehand, it's 2 things: stupid. Yeah. But anatomically, watch. If I hit a forehand, my dominant shoulder's behind me. I can hit it late and be good. Now backhand, my dominant shoulder's in front of me. If I have a one-hander, I got to hit 2 feet in front. If I have a two-hander, I'm even. But if I'm late, I have to slice. So they might not be as offensive off their backhand. So where you serve is big, right? That's the first pattern on the do side.
Is that for men and women?
It is up to a certain level. That's a good question. Sometimes at the higher levels, girls are more solid with their backhand because both hands are together and they're synchronized. And sometimes the girls, their backswing's too big on the forehand. Not always, but occasionally. One of the things, though, too, as we do this whole book, you guys, I'm going to talk about rules, and there's exceptions to the rule. And you guys have to kind of identify the exceptions, right? Okay, second in top 7. Most proficient pattern serving to the advantage side.
Kick serve wide to the backhand, then cross-court forehand.
I was taking, the USPTA had me take some kids to Indian Wells. And so Rafa Nadal was serving on the ad against Ryan Harrison. He does a slow lefty slice, followed by his inside out, ahee. Guess how many times he did that exact pattern? 84%. 84%. He won the match easy, saved all of his energy for the semis. That's staying on script. You get it? You don't need to change it if it's working. And kids sometimes don't, even adults, we go crazy and try to go for the exception to the rule. It's more fun. I get it. All right, number 3. Most proficient return to serve position and type of return versus a big first serve. All right, Sarah, come on. Deuce and add.
Deuce. Stand 5 feet behind the baseline. Match the ball speed and aim deep down the middle. Add. Stand 5 feet behind the baseline. Match the ball speed and aim cross court to their backhand.
Cool. I got to be honest. Most athletes don't even know what they do best or what they should be doing. They're just hitting. So if you give them their script, if they listen to their script, it's incredible how all the matches they were losing like 6-4 and 6-4, they're going to be winning 4-4. Because now on the big points, the mega points, add in, add out, they're doing what they do best. And it's really big that you do what you do best on big points, right? By the way, a good number to remember on the ad side is 6 out of 8 of the game points are played on the ad side. 6 out of the 8 are played on the ad. So train the ad side more with your players. Okay, number 4, in the top 7 patterns, most proficient return to serve position and type of return versus a weaker, lousy second serve. All right.
Deuce. Position 3 steps inside the baseline, hit down the line into their weaker backhand. Add. Position 3 steps inside the baseline, hit cross court into their weaker backhand.
Number 5, most proficient rally pattern to get opponent vulnerable. Rally patterns. All right, Sarah, what's that?
Roll my short angles to get them moving, then hit to the opening or behind the runner.
Obviously, all of your athletes might have their own favorite rally pattern, their favorite serve pattern. That's okay. Let them just do what they do best. As long as they know what they're best at, as long as they have a plan, I think that's better than no plan. Then later you guys are going to be tweaking their plan. I want to give you an example of rally patterns. I got to Barcelona. I was working with one of the academies, and all the courts were doing the same pattern. The coaches would feed a ball. The players would back up and hit a really big high and heavy to the backhand. The other athlete would back up, hit a short ball. Then the Spanish kids would come in, ahee, and just crush the winner. And so I go, and the first day I go, you guys, what are you guys working on? And the coaches were all standing there. They all started laughing. I go, no, what? You can tell me. They go, well, we call it How to Beat the Americans. That was the name of their drill. So their rally pattern, high and heavy to the backhand. Get it? Get the person back and vulnerable. So find what works well for your students. Number 6, most proficient short ball option.
Crush short balls down the line.
Okay, we're doing these last couple of things, then we're gonna stop. With short ball options, there's 4 basics, right? Your opponent or your players should know their favorite. Short ball option, go in and crush a winner. That could be an option. Number 2, approach shot volley could be an option. Roll the short angle could be your player's favorite option, or drop shot could be their favorite option. Find their favorite option. That's important that they know what they're good at. Most proficient net rushing pattern. That's big too. So last thing we're going to say, then we're going to break. I think we're on to another topic coming up. But I want you guys to save this book because we're going to be finishing it off after lunch. But so last thing, at the same Barcelona Academy, the famous coach, his name is on all the banners, was meeting with all the players before the matches. He goes, look, you guys are great. Just go out there and play your game. And I walk over to the players. I go, you guys, what's your game? And they go, I haven't a clue. They don't know what their best patterns are. So I think it's important that you guys are going to be ahead of the curve, in my opinion, if you're teaching people not just how to stroke, but how to set up plays to expose their efficiencies, right? Hide their deficiencies. You get it? All right. We're good? Ready for round 2? All right. Thanks, you guys.